what I wanted to start out with, something that's different about the league since when we first started watching is a lot of big names tend to move in free agency. So what I wanted to start off with is really focus on some guys that may be moving this offseason, namely 3 guys in particular: Dame Lillard, Ben Simmons, and Kawhi Leonard. Kind of get your takes on one, who you think will actually move and where you think is the best fit for them.
So, we can start with let's start with Simmons. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, no, actually, no, I'm lying. Let's start with Kawhi.
All right.
Just because, finding out that he have a partial tear of that ACL.
Right.
I feel like he's probably going to stay in LA, and so that's the reason why I want to start with him, because I feel it's the shortest. He's probably going to stay in LA. I mean, he'll get the most money there, and I'm not going to say his market's hurt, because like for Durant, he was able to get max contract after his injury, but yeah, I just don't see another, because Kawhi is so, what's like the term, man? He's not like
injury prone,
but like injury prone, and then like he doesn't talk about his injuries, which is weird, right? Like you should
He's
at least
very
have
personable.
Yeah, there's no communication between him and the team, and it's just like, let your team know what the plan is. I understand not wanting to talk about your free agent decisions, but your injury, like that's kind of weird. I don't know.
Right. And the thing that's different about Kawhi and Durant, even though Durant had the season-ending injury, he has shown to be able to stay healthy every other season other than that, right? For the most part. Kawhi hasn't shown that. So, but it's interesting, you've been hearing the teams that are kind of in the mix, the Miami Heat, the Dallas Mavericks, as far as teams, but I kind of side with you. I really think Kawhi is going to stay in the same place. He fought so hard to get to LA. He fought so hard to get the guys around him that he has. So for him to now just blow it up after a couple seasons of not, getting to the level that he wanted to get to, I think that would just be a big image hit for him. So I expect him to stay, where he's at. So where do you want to go with next, Ben Simmons or Dame?
Let's go Ben Simmons.
All right, cool.
All right. So for Simmons, I think what messed up the thing earlier was because I had some notes up off to the side, and I was trying to do a split screen and keep my notes up, and now they're gone, and so I messed it up. But and I also kind of I was trying to stay away from, like, because I listen to a lot of basketball pods too, and so I was trying to stay away from like trades that were already on there, that have already been floated out there.
Right.
And so I came up with one of my own. That's my dream scenario for Simmons, and that's for him to go to the Utah Jazz.
Really?
Yeah. So the trade would be, the trade machine wouldn't let me do it. I was trying to work it out on ESPN's trade machine, and it wouldn't let me do the whole thing because Gobert just signed his extension, so he's not eligible until like October to be traded. So it wouldn't let me do it, but it would be Simmons to the Jazz, Gobert to Washington, and Beal to the Sixers, and then whatever else you needed to work it out.
Make the pieces fit. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't figure it out because the trade machine was down, or at least because of
So you think that Ben Simmons with the 76ers, that's done? There's no saving that?
No, there's no saving that. I mean, I still have hope that Simmons can be the guy that we all kind of think he is, but in terms of him finding that in Philly, that's not going to happen.
Right.
I mean, Doc has been like he's got some coaching flaws, but for the most part, he's been like a player whisperer. You know what I mean? Like, he brings out the best in Tobias Harris. He brings out the best in some of his other guys, like that Clippers team that he coached to the playoffs that had no business being there with Lou Will and Montrez. And they even beat the Warriors in a game, even though the Warriors probably just gave it to him, but whatever. So, yeah, Simmons has to get out of there. He has to get out of Philly for his own mental health.
So what do you think it is about Ben Simmons? Obviously he's 24 years old, defensive stud, is when he's aggressive, pretty unstoppable going to the hoop, really great vision. But for some reason, he just always chokes in the playoffs when they need him the most. What is it about him? What is it about his game? It clearly seems like a confidence thing, but what do you think needs to change? And why do you think Utah would be where he's able to, make things happen?
Well, so I think Utah, just because he's similar to Gobert in that he was he was the runner-up for the defensive player of the year, right?
Right.
But he can actually guard on the perimeter. So if you can move Gobert out, who is unplayable in the playoffs, like when teams go small against him, it's just you can't play him anymore because he doesn't try to punish you inside. But at least Simmons will theoretically, hopefully, if he can get back to it, consistently try to get points inside. He just get a rebound and take it the length of the court and try to do something with it. But that confidence thing, though, that's the only thing he's got to overcome, because if he's still going to be scared, then I don't really know if there's any place that's good for him.
Right.
Especially at that kind of value, like basically getting Beal for him. Like that's just feels like a lot, even though I'm not a big Beal fan.
Amin the Dream doesn't agree with you. He thinks that Ben's going to be on the Shanghai Sharks next year with his teammate Kyle Kuzma. I think that's really harsh. Ben Simmons is, an all-star. He is 24 years old, still in his prime. Not even in his prime probably yet. But I think that he was just given the crown before he actually earned it, which is why I think he comes in as overrated. Now, when it comes to Ben Simmons, I actually believe that he should stop being just a point guard and start being focused more on a point forward, because he's not going to be a great shooter no matter where he goes, right? But he can become a better shooter if he has the right pieces around him. And to me, I think I look at him more. Everybody said he's more Magic. I think he's more Draymond Green. And I think a great fit with him would actually be in Golden State. Maybe make a trade to get, they have 2 lottery picks, maybe one of the lottery picks, a Wiggins and a Draymond, ship them to the 76ers in return for Ben Simmons and, maybe one of their guards or something to be there. And I think, if Ben Simmons is surrounded by guys like Steph, Clay, if they re-sign Oubre, who knows? But if they play Ben Simmons at the 4, really have him focused on playing defense and being that point forward to keep the ball out of Steph's hands when he's, resting and things of that nature. I think that's the fit. And the Warriors, I think, would become an instant title favorite just because they get the younger, more healthy version of Draymond in Ben Simmons. And if anybody's going to help you learn how to shoot, it's going to be the Splash Brothers. So for me, I think that's where he needs to go. What do you think about that trade?
No, absolutely. I like the fit for him on the Warriors. I actually think Simmons' best position would be more like a Giannis role. You know what I mean? Like playing the 4-5. Like that's it. Like he shouldn't be the point guard anymore. But for the Warriors, my only thought was the Sixers aren't doing that. They don't want Draymond back. You don't want, because I feel like the Sixers wouldn't want a guy who is not going to help them space the floor. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't feel that trade helps the Sixers at all. So I don't see why the Sixers would do it. Even if you're getting a draft pick back, even if it's a young guy, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think they have the 7th pick. I think the 7th pick you can definitely
get.
Like
7 and 14, I think.
Yeah. So if they give up the 7th pick, I think you could get, a good guard probably out of the draft in the top 7. That would be at least a rotation piece. And I don't know, man. I mean, the pieces need to fit. Obviously, we're doing things off the cuff, but I think more that would just be a great landing spot for Ben Simmons, whatever the Warriors need to throw in to take it to them. I think that would be good. And it gives them in case Clay doesn't come back all the way healthy, it gives them somebody that could guard that best wing player, because, Curry's not going to be able to do that.
Yeah. So one of the trades I keep hearing on like sports pods and stuff is Dame to the Warriors. Well, it's mostly Ben Simmons that talks about it, but Dame to the Warriors. And I just can't see that. Like, I can't see. Granted, I'd love to see Steph and Dame on the same team just bombing away from like everywhere the whole game. And then if Clay's healthy and back to being Clay, like that'd be an unstoppable offensive force. But who are they guarding? Like the biggest problem with Dame in Portland is CJ's next to him and he's too small to guard anybody else. So like that, I feel like that's what hurts there.
You know, and that's a great segue, because the next person I was going to ask you about is Dame, who I think is the most prized and coveted, potential trade on the market right now. Do you think that he should leave Portland, one? And if you do, or if he does leave Portland, where do you think is the best fit for him?
So I don't think he should leave Portland. Unless, because he's always said, like, he's been that guy that's like, no, I'm a Warrior. I'm staying here. I'm not getting help. I'll do it with what I have here. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to do it. So for those reasons, I don't want him to leave because there's not guys like that anymore, right? Like you said it at the top, guys are just moving around all the time, and that really didn't happen back in the days,
Right.
and as in terms of like best fit though, I'd really like to see him with Philly, or one of the Philly guys, right? Like even if another trade that I had thought up too was CJ for Ben Simmons, and then let Simmons play their center. You got to move Nurk somewhere. I tried to work it into Charlotte. You got to move Nurk somewhere, and then let Simmons be your center. And then if you can keep Covington, Norman Powell, and I don't know who else you can get there for the wing, but somebody else, right? Like I think that's a pretty solid squad there for Dame. He'll finally have somebody that is a legit defender that can cover everything, and then he can just be Dame the whole time, which is what he's been really good at.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the writing's on the wall. I think Brian Windhorst put out an article saying that Dame, might be actually asking for a trade here pretty soon. He seems to be, he's with Team USA right now. It seems like that's the new breeding ground for pairing up the new teammates and things of that nature. I personally, and maybe it's just because I'm a Lakers stan, I think somehow if he could get to the Lakers, that would be an amazing fit. And I think the Lakers would have to give up Anthony Davis in that trade. But I think that would actually be probably the best that Portland could get, getting a guy like Anthony Davis. And I think the Lakers need to look at it and say, we only have a couple more years of prime LeBron where he could actually, be the best player on a team. And I don't think Anthony Davis is going to be able to stay healthy long enough to really maximize what LeBron is. Bring in Dame. He's a little bit older than Anthony Davis, but still young in his prime. Doesn't take a lot of damage. Probably one of those guys that could play well into his career, just like Chris Paul has been doing, and still be effective. He could be the transition from LeBron, and he's a player that other big stars would actually come and play with. And that's how the Lakers really build their team. It's going to be getting that next splash and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of like a hoop dream. I don't know if it's going to happen because I doubt the Portland Trailblazers are going to trade him in the same conference. But, I think that'd be the best fit for Dame. What do you think about Dame to the Lakers?
So, one, I just don't want it to happen because I don't want anything good for the Lakers ever. But no, honestly, it'd be a good trade. And when I saw that come out on Twitter or somewhere, Dame for AD, and I was like, absolutely, you do that because even though healthy AD and engaged AD, you know what I mean? Because sometimes I feel like AD just floats in and out of some games.
Right.
It's rare, but he does have those moments. Dame doesn't have those moments. He's there to game all the time. So yeah, no, that'd be a really good trade. And I'm scared that LeBron would definitely pull that trigger.
For sure.
Like, yeah, let's make it happen.
Amin thinks Dame to the Clippers. What do you think about that?
So that could work. Oh, go ahead.
It seems like with Amin though, they don't have to give up anybody to get him.
Well, they got to get rid of their first best player, Reggie Jackson. Like, he doesn't have Reggie Jackson in there. And Reggie Jackson was the guy that showed out for him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, PG was good too. He actually showed up this time. He had a couple games where he was trash, especially that early Dallas series. But for the most part, he played well.
Yeah, I don't think the Clippers have the assets. They gave up a lot of first round picks to get PG. I don't think they're set. The reason why they can't get Reggie back, they don't have money. So I think Dame to the Clippers just isn't realistic.